Hi BookTube. So as it's soon to be February, I thought I would do a TBR video. I'm showing you all of my physical books that are on my TBR. I do have, of course, several ebooks that I want to read, but I thought I would showcase the physical books. It was fun, like perusing my shelves and picking a book from each shelf, basically. I am also participating in 2 readathons. Lindsay Loves Books is hosting a readathon at the beginning of the month for the Little House on the Prairie readathon, focusing on like Laura Ingalls Wilder's series and things that are associated with that. And I'm also participating in Storm Reads Retro Romance Readathon. I believe the name. And that's going throughout the month. And that's focusing on books from the 1990s, going back in time. So yeah, it was fun to see what books I had on my shelf that fit that criteria. Also, like, side note that I don't really have any books to show you for this, but in like the back of my mind, it would be fun to read books that were on BookTuber's favorite books from 2021. I've been watching several, if not many, BookTubers talk about their books from 2021, and I need to still do that video. My goodness, like I need to get a move on before we're going to be in March before I know it. So yeah, I want to do that. So I'm thinking I might showcase different books that I've read, prompted by BookTubers each week, and then of course let you know where I got those book recommendations from. So anyway, let's get into the books. And so I thought I would start with the retro romance readathon, because I'm probably going to read romance books towards the beginning of the month with like Valentine's Day and whatnot. And so I'm starting with a Debbie Macomber book. I have 2 Debbie Macomber books on my to read for this readathon. This is A Friend or Two. This is number 392 from Silhouette. And this came out, so it'll be interesting to see how old these are. This is from 1985, and I don't know exactly when she started writing, but I believe it was in the 80s. And this is a mistaken identity romance. And it's funny, like for the male main character, it says he was a longshoreman, but he looked as if he wrestled crocodiles, and he doesn't look like the type to indulge in delicate French pastries. This is where they meet up. And so yeah, this looks really interesting. And then the other Debbie Macomber book I have is Fairy Tale Weddings, and this one came out. It's there's 2 books in this one, and it's from 1987 to 1988. Cindy and the Prince and Some Kind of Wonderful. And I looked in the cover here, and it seems to be, from what I gather, like a Cinderella and a Beauty and the Beast retelling for each of them. And so I guess technically I have 3 Debbie Macombers to read, but this is really short, so it'll be easy to get through. I have a Georgette Heyer, or Hare. This is an infamous army. On the eve of the Battle of Waterloo, a dazzling young widow trends the thin line between scandal and romance. I have quite a few Georgette Heyer books on my shelves, but this isn't the oldest book I have from her, but it's the oldest edition I have, with like the yellow pages and the old background, old cover. And this is from 1937, and this edition is from 1969. And this is All is Fair in Love and War. So I'm not going to read too much of a description here because I have so many books to show you. I have Lindsay Mckenna, Point of Departure. This is a Silhouette Special Edition number 853, and this is That Special Woman. It says, it takes a very special man to win that special woman. A woman in uniform had to be tough, but to face down a naval commander intent on harassing her out of the ranks, Lieutenant Callie needed more than moxie. She needed a miracle. And it seems to be like a based around a pilot. This one came out in 93. I just have a couple more to show you. This is The Gamester's Daughter by Dorothea Mack. It's a Regency signet romance. And this one came out in 98. I don't know if this is interesting to you, but I thought it'd be interesting to talk about the years, publisher dates. It's a diamond of the first, and there's a sticker on it, first water. Claudia was the talk of Paris, charming every gentleman at her father's fashionable gambling hell, including Lord Pelham. But despite an instant tender, it's like a French word, Pelham believed that Claudia, in truth as innocent as her adorable dimples, was no lady, and Claudia was too proud to convince him otherwise. So that's an interesting take, a Regency romance with the main character, the woman, as a possible gambler. So that's different. I have Madeline A. Poland's Sabrina. And this has a really old, like, 70s style cover. This came out in 79. It says, a family obsessed by duty, a young girl possessed by love, and a nation on the brink of a new era. So this seems to be like more like a family saga with a romance in there. And I like the old style cover. I have another one in this edition. Who was the publisher for this? So I have one more, and I wanted to go with this one since it's the shorter one, because this one is much bigger. With that same style. This one's called Evergreen. And then the last book for this readathon I'm going to be reading is Appalachia. Love nestles into 4 mountain towns. And this is a compendium of 4 different authors, like novellas. And it's a mountain refuge. It's a haven for 4 women who have been bruised by the pace of the modern world, while the gentle strength of the mountain people lull them back to a perspective of peace and faith. So maybe this is like a faith-based romance, but we'll see. And this came out, the earliest one in this bind up came out in 1996. So those are books there. I'm being super ambitious. I want to read them in the first 2 weeks, preferably in that week of Valentine's Day, but this is we'll see what happens. And then for the Lily Faye Loves Books readathon, the Little House on the Prairie readathon, I think that's what she calls it. It might be Laura Ingalls Wilder readathon. I'm not sure, but yeah, I'll leave the description and link below. I'll leave a link in the description below. My goodness. So for the book that's suggested, like, buddy read that's for the readathon is On the Way Home by Laura Ingalls Wilder, and this is a diary from a trip from South Dakota to Mansfield, Missouri in 1894. And this one, this is with a setting by Rose Wilder Lane. And I read this book years ago, but since I bought this copy, I haven't read what Rose, the daughter, has included in here. But so yeah, there's that one. And then I thought, since I'm reading this one, which is kind of like, like the next book in the Little House on the Prairie series, like, in chronological order. And then the other one is Letters of Laura Ingalls Wilder, San Francisco, 1915, West from Home. So I have that one. So this one is 1894, then this is 1915. And this is all about her trip to San Francisco for the World's Fair. And then the last book for that readathon that I want to read is I Remember Laura by Stephen W. Hines, America's favorite storyteller as remembered by her family, friends, and neighbors. And so this is like full of pictures, and it's kind of like a scrapbook in a way, from different people's interactions with her. So yeah, I'm curious about this one. I've had this one for like a year or so, and I've been meaning to get to it. So now is my chance to read it. And so I have these 3 here. And this readathon is pretty short. It's from the day of when Laura Ingalls Wilder was born to her death. And I think that's February 4th through 10th. It's like 4 or 5 days of readathon. So yeah, I wanted to pick some like reasonable length books, considering that's also overlapping the romance readathon that I want to participate in. And again, the romance readathon is going up throughout the whole month, so I don't have just the 2 weeks, but I prefer it in those first 2 weeks. So now, moving on to all the rest of the books that I want to read that I culled from my shelves here. I have Betty White, Here We Go Again, My Life in Television, 1949 through 1995, and I know almost nothing about Betty White. I've seen a couple movies where she is, playing a role in them, but it wasn't until she died that it prompted me, like, I need to watch The Golden Girls. And so, since I think the night that I found out that she died, I started watching The Golden Girls, and it's been so fun and enjoyable and surprising that I was like it as much as I do. And so I saw this when I was at a thrift store. I was like, this is, perfect timing in a sad way, to learn more about her, since I just started watching the famous show about her. And so, yeah, I have this, and this is a memoir of Betty White's first 5 decades on television, and irreverent and irresistible as the beloved actress herself. I also have one more, I should have brought it down, but I have one other that I found at a thrift store that's a later memoir, and so I might read them back to back. We'll see how I feel, or maybe next month. This is when she was younger here. Then I have, again, we're like shifting gears all over the place, the Journals of Lewis and Clark, Meriwether Lewis and William Clark, This is newly abridged by Anthony Brandt, and with an afterword by Herman J. Viola. And so with this one, I am currently reading The British Are Coming, the trilogy, the first book in the trilogy for about the Revolutionary War. And so I wanted to read like the older books on my shelf. This one I've been meaning to read for quite a while, and I thought now would be a good time. I've read about them, mentioned in history books, but I've never actually read, their journal. So now is the time for that. I have Flannery O'Connor's bind up, the Library of America edition. This includes Wise Blood, A Good Man is Hard to Find, The Violent Bear It Away, Everything That Rises Must Converge, essays, and letters. And so several of these that are listed are short story collections. Wise Blood is her first book, and I've read that one, and I've also read quite a few of her short stories. I haven't read all of them, but so this is the book I'm going to probably not finish in February. I'm going to, read it slowly until I get through it, because it's pretty chunky. If I don't include the notes, it's like over 1,000 pages. I don't want to fiddle and find the exact pages. It's probably like 1,250 pages, something like that. And so I don't want to read this all this month, but I want to get started and pick it up as I go along. Then I have Brandon Sanderson's Cytonic. This is Skyward Book 3. I've read the two novellas, like the 2.1 and 2.2 in January, and so now I can finally read this one. And now I saw on Goodreads he already has a novella, a 3.1 that's right after this, and so I have something I can read in March as well. He just pops books out like crazy. I don't understand how that happens. But this is his science fiction YA series set in space on a abandoned planet, and people trying to survive. And so it's a really fun, fast-paced series. And the main books feature Spencer, who's on the cover here, but the novellas, the main characters are the side characters that you see in this book. So it's fun to read about different viewpoints and different roles in the world. So you get I feel like you get a better sense of the different aspects of the world. And then I have Lois McMaster Bujold, The Curse of Shalion. I've never read Bujold. I've wanted to, and I picked this book up months ago, like 3, 4, 5 months ago, and been meaning to read it ever since. And so now's the time for that. It says, a man broken in body and spirit, Casriel has returned to the noble household he once served as a page, and is named to his great surprise secretary tutor to the beautiful, strong-willed sister of the impetuous boy who is next in line to rule. When I looked at it more closely today, when I was picking my TBR, I see that it has a blurb by Robert Jordan, and that was one of Robert Jordan, The Wheel of Time. I know a lot of people are talking about that right now, and that was one of the first fantasy series that pulled me into reading a lot of fantasy, because before I would read single titles of fantasy books, as I came across them. I wasn't really invested in reading a lot of fantasy until that, and so I was like, well, if he recommends it, and then I might like it. So I'm hoping to like it, because I recognize his name. I have Greg Isles' Sleep No More. I really like his, Penn Cage, the main character of his Mississippi, Not Just Mississippi series. I don't think I finished it. I think I have one more book to read of that. But I saw this at a thrift store, and so I thought I would give it a try. It has an interesting cover, and then it has a step back here. So it seems kind of spooky. It says A Spirited Chiller. And so the Penn Cage series is a fast-paced, not fast-paced, it's really big. I mean, it does move along, but it's more of a investigative mystery thriller. So this seems to be a horror book, and it should come with red wrapper marked danger, high explosives, and that's a blurb by Stephen King. So yeah, we'll see what I think of this. And then I have, kind of going with this horror theme, I have R.L. Stein's Fear Street's Truth or Dare. I mean, I randomly picked this up. This is one of my boyfriend's books. He has the Goosebump and Fear Street books from when he was a kid. Not all of them, but a lot of them. And so I was I'm going, shelf by shelf. I'm getting to hit, a lot of these books are the science fiction fantasy. And I was like, oh, this is the winter cover. It's, they're skiing at a ski lodge. And so I was like, might as well give this a shot. I read a few Fear Streets when I was a kid, but I don't remember hardly anything about them or which ones I read. But, yeah, I thought I would give this a chance. Because the last one I read was when I watched the Fear Street Netflix series. And so that prompted me to read a book set at a campground. And so now we're in wintertime. So, yeah, give that one a chance. And then another snow book, because like I said, I'm picking books from my shelves. So I found this at a little free library. This is The House in the Snow by M.J. Ng, and it says it was worse than haunted. And so it's a spooky book, but it isn't set during October. It says it's a secret hideout. People always claim that the house in the snow was haunted, and Benjamin never meant to go near it until he met Mackie in the forest, and so his friend takes them there, and so there's robbers, invisible robbers, living in the house. So, a ghost story maybe? We'll see. I just have a few more books to show you. This one has a library sticker on it, because this is another one I found at a little free library. This is Nori Ryan's Song by Patricia Riley Giff, and this is a historical fiction set in 1845 in Ireland or the English countryside. It says the English story is bent upon forcing the Irish from their land so that he can tumble the cottages and clear the fields for grazing sheep. So yeah, that has a kind of a melancholy cover. I then have John Steinbeck's Travels with Charlie in Search of America. I read almost every book that John Steinbeck wrote, but I haven't read this one, and I picked this up, and so wanted to read it. This reminds me of the copy I had of Mice and Men in high school. It was like the same, like the orange spine and all of that. It says, a quest across America, from the northernmost tip of Maine to California's Monterey Peninsula. And he's traveling with his dog, Charlie, here. And then I have two more books to show you. This is Sky Time in Gray's River, Living for Keeps in a Forgotten Place by Robert Michael Pyle. And this is, let's see, it's a meditation on life in the rural Northwest. He's a lepidopterist, and southwestern Washington is notable for its lack of butterflies. Okay, study butterflies. That would have been helpful. Something about the Gray's River Valley spoke to him when he visited more than 40 years ago. Since then, he's lived near the village of Gray's River, one of the first to be established near the mouth of the Columbia River, and only tenuously connected to the world of the 21st century. So yeah, living, out in the wilderness in a forgotten place. So yeah, this looked interesting. And then the last book I have is A School Teacher in Old Alaska, the story of Hannah Brees by Jane Jacobs. It's edited with an introduction by her, but it's written by, what is it? Oh yeah, Hannah Brees. The story of, oh my gosh, I spaced out. I was focusing on this and not the subtitle here. But this is about a school teacher who came to Alaska in 1904 in a remote, lawless wilderness. Gold prospectors, murderous bootleggers, tribal chiefs, and Russian priests. She spent 14 years educating the Alaska people and Russians. So yeah, anyway, this looked interesting. And is there any pictures in here? I saw briefly that there was some. Here, let's look at the schoolhouse here. And I believe I found this either at their store or free library. And so, yeah, books in Alaska. It's wintertime now. The perfect pairing. So anyway, wish me luck. They always I had a stack coming there all over, so just yeah, tumbled away over here. Anyway, yeah, wish me luck on reading all of these books. I might need it because I'm not just reading these. I'm also reading ebooks. We'll see how many of these I get through. It's more of a pile of possibilities, not set in stone. Because of course there's quite a few other books I want to get to as well. But yeah, we'll see. Let me know what you're going to be reading. And if you've read any of these books, please let me know. And I will talk to you soon. Thanks, BookTube.